In the summer of 1881, the President of the United States walked into a Washington train station when two gunshots changed American history. But the real story of James A. Garfield doesn't start in Washington. It starts in poverty, in a small Ohio cabin, with a boy who once worked as a canal boat laborer just to survive, and somehow that boy became president. This is the story of Ohio's fourth president, James A. Garfield. James Abraham Garfield was born in 1831 in a log cabin in Orange Township, Ohio, not far from present day Cleveland. His father died when James was only 2 years old, leaving his mother Eliza to raise four children on her own. Life was not easy. Garfield grew up chopping wood, working on the farm, and doing whatever he could to help support the family. But even as a child, one thing stood out about him: Garfield loved learning. Books became his escape from poverty and hard labor, and that love of learning would eventually take him far beyond the small Ohio community where he was raised. Today, you can still visit Garfield's home in Mentor, Ohio, and walking through it gives you a sense of just how far he traveled in his life, because Garfield's journey from poverty to the presidency was almost unbelievable. As a teenager, Garfield dreamed of becoming a sailor on the Great Lakes. Instead, he found himself as a canal boat laborer on the Ohio and Erie Canal, which ran through northern Ohio and helped connect the region to trade across the country. The work was exhausting. Laborers walked long miles along the towpath, guided mules that pulled heavy canal boats through the water. But Garfield had one serious problem: he didn't know how to swim. While working along the canal, Garfield fell into the water multiple times. For someone who couldn't swim, that was incredibly dangerous, and at one point, he nearly drowned while working along the canal. Not long after those incidents, Garfield became seriously ill with malaria, forcing him to leave canal work and return home. That moment may have changed the course of American history, because while recovering, Garfield made a decision that would alter the direction of his life. He would pursue education instead of manual labor. Today, the old towpaths along the Ohio and Erie Canal are peaceful walking trails, but in Garfield's time, they were places of exhausting work, danger, and survival. And if you enjoy stories about American history, especially the incredible stories behind our presidents, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I'm covering all 8 presidents from Ohio in this series. Garfield threw himself into learning. He attended Western Reserve Eclectic Institute, which is today known as Hiram College in Ohio. And he didn't just attend, he excelled. Garfield eventually continued his education at Williams College in Massachusetts, where he graduated near the top of his class. Soon after, he returned to Ohio to teach. But before long, Garfield became not just a professor, but the president of the college himself. From canal laborer to college president, but history was about to pull him in a very different direction. When the Civil War began in 1861, Garfield joined the Union Army. He quickly proved himself as a capable and intelligent leader. Garfield rose through the ranks and eventually became a major general in the Union Army. His leadership at the Battle of Middle Creek in Kentucky helped bring him national attention. Because of his growing reputation, Garfield was soon elected to the United States Congress, where he would serve for nearly 20 years. Garfield never campaigned for presidency. In 1880, the Republican Party convention became deadlocked between several candidates. Ballot after ballot failed to produce a winner. After dozens of rounds of voting, party leaders began searching for a compromise candidate. And incredibly, they chose James A. Garfield, a man who hadn't even been seeking a presidency. Garfield went on to win the election and become the 20th president of the United States. One of the most interesting parts of Garfield's campaign happened right here in Mentor, Ohio. Instead of traveling across the country, Garfield conducted what became known as the Front Porch Campaign. Supporters, reporters, and political groups traveled to his home to hear him speak. Thousands upon thousands of visitors gathered outside Garfield's house during the campaign. Standing there today, you can imagine the crowds gathered outside of his home for the man who would soon become president. Garfield's presidency lasted only 4 months before tragedy struck. On July 2nd, 1881, Garfield entered a train station in Washington, D.C. A disgruntled office seeker named Charles Gitu shot the president. Garfield survived the initial attack, but medical knowledge at the time was limited. Doctors reportedly probed the wound with unsterilized instruments and even their fingers trying to locate the bullet. This introduced infection into Garfield's body. After 79 days of suffering, President Garfield died on September 19th, 1881. Despite his short presidency, Garfield's death led to major reforms in American government. Just 2 years later, Congress passed the Pendleton Civil Service Reform Act, which created a merit based system for many federal jobs. In many ways, Garfield's assassination helped end the corrupt spoils system that had dominated politics for decades. Ohio has produced 8 presidents of the United States, more than almost any other state, and James A. Garfield remains one of the most remarkable among them. A boy raised in poverty, a canal worker who nearly drowned because he couldn't swim, a scholar, a soldier, a congressman, and eventually the 20th President of the United States. If you enjoy this story, make sure to subscribe because this is part of my series covering all 8 presidents from Ohio. And in the next episode, we will continue exploring the incredible stories behind Ohio presidents, because some of the most fascinating chapters in American history started right here in Ohio. And some of the photos and video were taken directly from the Garfield house, and thank you for watching.